Greetings, it's New Zealand naturopath Eric Backer, author of Candida Crusher and formulator of the Canxida range of dietary supplements. Thanks for tuning in today. I've been asked by many people in several countries to do a video on how to do a Candida cleanse. What's the best way to rid my body of a yeast infection? How can I clean up my system? How can I get rid of bacteria, parasites? How can I get rid of Candida? So that's what we're going to talk about today. So I'm going to put quite a few elements together for this video, and I think you're going to find it quite informative. And it'll be a video you may want to watch, in fact, once or twice, because there'll be quite a lot of information here for you to take in. So there are essentially three elements to a Candida cleanse. If you want to do it properly, there are three main categories that we're going to talk about. Category one is the diet, what to eat, what to avoid, and special foods. Category two is the lifestyle. And category three are what are the best kind of supplements to take. So let's just go through that step by step and explain to you a little bit about what I think is the best kind of Candida cleanse to do. You may be familiar with my website, yeastinfection.org. If not, please go and have a look at that website. And if you haven't already done my questionnaire, my online questionnaire, I would urge you to do that. To see what kind of level of Candida you've got, if you've got mild, moderate, or severe. Thousands of people have already completed this online quiz, and I could easily say it's the world's best online quiz for yeast infection. It cost me a hell of a lot of time and investment to create this quiz, and I think it's the best one around. So if you haven't already completed it, please go to yeastinfection.org and complete that quiz. Okay, so let's talk about the diet as really being the first step. So before we go into taking you off all sorts of kinds of foods, and saying you can't do this and you can't do that, the first thing I like to do is to put a person on a really basic Candida cleanse. So usually for the first 14 days, I get people to clean up their act, for want of a better word. In that 14-day period, I call it the warm turkey period. So cold turkey means you take everything away from people, but warm turkey means you have a softer approach. So for 14 days, we're going to get you to be aware of everything you're eating and drinking. And in that 14-day period, I want you to stop all alcohol. I want you to cut caffeine down to 1 or 2 cups per day max. And generally, a cup of coffee or tea in the morning is okay, providing you don't put sugar in it, of course. So those sorts of drinks are usually okay. In that 14-day period, you're going to have a good look at what kind of takeaway or junk food you eat, what kind of processed foods you eat. You're going to look into your refrigerator and try and get rid of all those bottles and jars with different sauces. Often they contain sugars and molds and all kinds of crap in them. So many people I know have got, containers in their cupboard or refrigerator. There could be jars of jam in there, or, all sorts of sauces, shrimp sauce, chili sauce, tomato sauce. They all need to go. Because on a Candida diet, they're not really good foods to have. So that 14-day period is when you're going to make the switch from eating not so good foods to eating a better kind of food. And I think it makes a lot of sense. In my experience, it's not good just to plunge people into a average standard diet and then into a Candida diet. You need to have a transition period. So that's the 2-week period. And you'll be able to read more about that again at yeastinfection.org. Excuse me, about that transition period that's very important to do. Once you've gone through that transition period, it's time to look at what I call the Mevy Diet. Now, the Mevy Diet has been around for a long time now, probably about 40 years. In fact, these sorts of diets have been around before the word paleo diet was invented. These are a high-protein kind of a diet. Candida loves sugar, so of course the big thing that we want to do is take sugar out of the diet. So yeast needs sugar to thrive, and a paleo Mevy kind of approach doesn't really have sugar in it. So the Mevy Diet is an acronym for meat, eggs, vegetables, and yogurt. So that's how you basically form your diet. Lots of good quality lean proteins. My favorite protein is fresh fish. Free-range chicken, free-range eggs. If you're a vegan, there are plenty of other options you've got too. There are plenty of legumes you can eat. There are nuts and seeds and beans and all sorts of things you can eat. If you are, however, a non-vegan or you are a meat eater and want to go more into the grain style of, or the legume kind of diet, be aware that the bacteria in your digestive system will not be used to processing those kinds of foods yet. And there could be a lot of flatulence going on and bloating as you have to let your gut get used to these kinds of foods. So making any kind of quick diet switch is not really a good idea, because you could get a lot of digestive upsets. So whether you're a vegetarian going to start eating more meat, or whether you're a meat eater going to start eating more vegetarian, you need to make the approach very slowly and gently over a period of, preferably in my opinion, 1 to 2 months. Right? So the Mevy approach is very important because it basically starves the Candida. It stops the Candida from feeding on the kind of foods it loves to have. In that Mevy diet approach, I often get asked, how long do I need to do that for? Is it a week? Is it a month? There's no real guidelines here. I generally like to keep people on a Mevy approach for anything from 1 month up to 3 months. But I mean, that's up to you. You could do it for 4 weeks or 6 weeks or 8 weeks if you want. Once you've been through, you've got used to eating this kind of diet, and again, you can read more on yeastinfection.org or in my book, Candida Crusher. Once you're used to this kind of dietary approach, we start moving you into what we call the low allergy diet. So at this stage, we're going to take out the most allergy of all forming foods, like the dairy products, especially cow's milk. I take out bananas, I take out oranges. I make sure that there's no chocolate in the diet, even dark chocolate, 70% cocoa, whatever it is, that's got to go for a while. We take peanuts out. And then we tidy the diet up even a little bit more. We take out even some more foods that potentially could, affect your digestive system. So my book contains quite a large page on the hypoallergenic diet. The book's available through CandidaCrusher.com, by the way. So I think I've written the most comprehensive information anywhere on the internet regarding food and yeast infection. So the low allergy diet is very smart, because now what we've done initially, we've cleaned you up. We put you into a protein diet with plenty of fiber in there and starches for the good bacteria to feed on. Now we're stripping away the potentially allergy foods. This is a very smart move, because a lot of people with Candida have got, in fact, food allergies and food intolerances. They will have 1 or 2 key foods that are creating immune dysfunction, because nearly all patients I see with Candida have got leaky gut. And by taking out the potentially allergenic foods, you're going to, stop the immune system reacting. After this low allergy approach, and again that can last anywhere from 4 weeks up to about 12 weeks, depending on how you improve, you're going to start reintroducing foods, and that's the third stage of the diet. But before we go into the food reintroduction, it's important to also tell you that you need to eat foods that are going to help to fight Candida. And again, I've written quite a lot of articles and done YouTube videos on this, on the anti-Candida foods. Right, we talked about garlic extensively, oregano, coconut oil, there's clove. There are many different kinds of foods you can consume that actually fight Candida, that the Candida hates. These foods also discourage bad bacteria, like Citrobacter frundi. They get rid of things like Blastocystis, Pseudomonas. All these kinds of bacteria and parasites, they don't really like this kind of diet approach either. This diet approach is very favorable towards encouraging the beneficial bacteria. So when we look at the special foods for Candida, we've got the anti-Candida special foods, and then we've got the prebiotic special foods. So there are 2 separate categories of foods that I think you should learn to incorporate into your diet as you're going through a Candida cleanse. Foods that discourage Candida and bad bacteria, and foods that encourage the good bacteria. Now we call those the FOS and GOS foods. So I've written a whole article on that on ericbacker.com. I think it's part 4 of my alternatives to antibiotics. But I'll explain a little about those FOS and GOS foods right now. So these are special kind of foods that contain sugars called oligosaccharides. Not all sugars are bad for Candida. Oligosaccharides, in fact, are what we call prebiotic foods. And these foods, in fact, encourage the growth of Lactobacillus acidophilus and bifidobacteria. And it's very important for you to understand that you need a lot of these beneficial bacteria to fight Candida. Right, so these beneficial bacteria themselves produce lots of different types of antibiotics in their own right that counter the bad bacteria. Acidophilus also is responsible for the production, for example, particular bifidobacteria for B vitamins and vitamin K. and even folic acid gets produced by these beneficial bacteria. So these beneficial bacteria are responsible for really powering up your immune system, making you feel very good. I see countless stool reports from Candida patients that show very low levels of beneficial bacteria. So let's look at some of the FOS and GOS foods. There are plenty of them. Foods like Jerusalem artichokes, asparagus, sweet potato, okay? Particularly the darker coloured vegetables like the red ones and the black ones. You can get these dark sort of potatoes in New Zealand called Maori potatoes, or like purple potatoes. You might be able to get them in your country, purpley coloured potatoes. Dark coloured carrots, red carrots, or even purple carrots. Purple cabbage is quite a good one to have. Purple grapes, all these sorts of foods. Now before you start saying, hang on a minute, I can't eat grapes, I can't eat sweet potato, I can't eat this. You can eat these foods, but they have to be introduced at the right time. Okay, grapes are not a food you're going to have in the first several months of yeast infection, but over time you'll be able to eat a couple of grapes. And when I say a couple, I'm talking 3 or 4. I'm not talking about handfuls of grapes. Okay, any large amount of foods, regardless, of what kind of sugars they've got in them, are going to upset your digestive system until you can get used to them. So when it comes to the FOS and GOS foods, you have to introduce them slowly. A lot of vegetables contain FOS and GOS, and even the root vegetables like sweet potato contain them. Now, I don't generally always take out pumpkin and sweet potato and squash and sweet corn and peas from somebody's diet in the Mevy stage. I only do that if they've got a seriously bad Candida infection. If they've had it for years, they've had years of antibiotics, they've had years of brain fog. If they're a category 3 patient, like a really bad patient, then I may take out these starchy vegetables for the first 2 or 3 weeks. But then I generally will slowly reintroduce them. It's not good to take people off all starches and grains because they get bored with their diet and they lose too much weight. And I'm not a fan of anti-gluten, anti-wheat, anti-rye, anti-oats, anti-everything. So I don't like being the food police to my patients. I was in the first several years of my practice, and I found that it pissed off too many people, and a lot of people didn't come back. And a lot of patients will end up gravitating towards their own diet down the track anyway, so regardless of what you say. So remember the special foods, the FOS and the GOS foods. You can read a bit more about that on ericbacker.com. So that sort of constitutes the diet. The diet is the easy part of the Candida approach. The hard part is the lifestyle, okay? And that's something you're not going to read about on a lot of websites. The Candida Diet website, for example, doesn't talk about lifestyle changes, how important they are. Most yeast infection sites I've seen talk very little about lifestyle. And this is the missing link, because in my opinion, 3/4 of your recovery from Candida is about lifestyle. Because lifestyle affects your immune system, it affects your endocrine system, your hormone system. It all gets affected by lifestyle. So what's the point in eating really good foods if you're going to bed at 1 o'clock in the morning and looking at your iPad? Waste of time. Waste of time. What good is there in eating a lot of good foods? If you have living in a situation with bad relationship or a lot of stress hanging over your head, high mortgage stress or something like that, waste of time eating good food. So let's look at some lifestyle points here. The work-life balance is very important. So many people today have got blurred boundaries. They work for too long, too many hours. They don't take enough time out. I've spoken about this at length on other videos too, that people often go from one screen to another screen. They'll go from their work computer, they'll go at home, they'll spend more time on their mobile phone or on their electronic device or on their computer, right up until when they go to bed. And when they go to bed, they take the device to bed with them. So there's no balance there. You need a clear demarcation between working and not working. You need what's called leisure time or relaxation time, and that's really missing today. Leisure time empowers the parasympathetic nervous system. This is the nervous system which helps rebuild the body. It helps the body to rest and digest. Okay. The activating system, or the sympathetic nervous system, is a system we use during the day, and this empowers us and gets us up off our feet, doing things and thinking about things. That's the sympathetic nervous system. It activates all our organs. The parasympathetic helps to calm and slow down and rebuild. And as I said, it's rest and digest. So that system activates predominantly when you're sleeping. Now, sleep is a big problem. 40% of people in my country have got sleeping issues. Now, if you're in the US, I would say over half of people I see as patients have got a sleeping dysfunction. Now, what's the point in having a premium diet with quinoa and salmon and organically, grass-fed beef and all this sort of stuff if you're not sleeping properly? What a load of crap. You just can't really expect a really good health and recovery if there's a poor sleep level. You need to sleep very, very well. So if you've got a sleeping issue and you're watching this, that's probably one of your primary things you need to fix up. Work out why you're not sleeping and fix that up. Exercise. You've heard all about it. You've probably seen lots of videos and read lots of blogs and thought, yeah, I'll get around to it one day. So regular walking or exercise is paramount, in my opinion, for recovery from Candida. Right? Everything improves when you exercise regularly. So if you're not doing it now, you need to start doing it. This could be one of the reasons why you're not recovering. If you've been sick for years and you're doing everything right, but you're not recovering, get off your butt and do some exercise. Join the gym or find an activity that you like, whether it's cycling or swimming or walking. You need to be active if you want good health. And again, if you can't understand that concept, you're probably wasting your time watching this video, because you ain't going to cure Candida with supplements and diet alone. In some cases you will, but in chronic cases you won't. You need to look at the whole picture. Attitudes. Attitudes are very important too. It's very important for you to cultivate a positive state of frame of mind and always believe in a full recovery, that you're going to really recover from Candida one day. The patients I see that have been sick for years that recover, they understand that health is in their own hands, that they have to make those calls on what they can and can't eat, if they can get off their butt to go out for a walk, if they say no to an alcoholic beverage. They know that it's all up to them. And the attitude is very important, to have a very positive attitude and to watch out for negative people and to watch out for reading negative things on the internet, because there's a lot of junk on the internet. So I want you to think carefully about the lifestyle. Many articles, again, I've written on yeastinfection.org on lifestyle and attitudes, on how to be happy, for example. Understanding the things that predominate the parasympathetic nervous system, or the healing part of the nervous system. Laughing a lot more. Chewing food properly. These are very important concepts for you to bear in mind. Sleeping, resting, because this allows digesting. So these are important concepts, so you need to really get a good grip on those, in my opinion, even more so than the diet, to aid for recovery. And the last point we're going to talk about will be the dietary supplements. So I've created a range of products that you can find on Canxida.com. That's C-A-N-X-I-D-A. So the Canxida supplements were created because I've been using supplements for patients now for over 20 years in my clinic, and realized that there are a lot of problems with many of these dietary supplements. They weren't performing the way I like them to, and many patients were aggravating on all kinds of supplements that I used. So I thought it's time to make my own products and to make them to my standards, to use the best quality raw materials in the exact proportions. And I did that. And so far 2 products have been created. One's called Canxida Remove, and the other one is called Canxida Restore. Canxida Remove is proven to be a difficult product to manufacture. It's not easy. And nothing really good is really easy to achieve, I've discovered. So our first batch sold out very, very quick, and we had incredibly good feedback on it. Our second batch is almost produced now, but we're waiting for one of the raw materials. So Canxida Remove, in my opinion, is the premium antifungal, antibacterial, anti-parasite product made yet, that you won't find anything like this anywhere else on the internet. So it's quite a unique product in that I've tried to select the best herbal medicines that really target Candida, but also ones that are quite specifically target many different kinds of parasites and bacteria. So it's a very broad spectrum product that really helps to cleanse the bacteria and fungus from the mouth right through to the back passage. It cleans everything up. It's also made in a sustained release form, So the tablet takes about 3 to 4 hours to break down in the gut. So what you're going to find is by taking this product 2 to 3 times per day, you're going to have a long kill range. So it's going to be able to wipe out bugs over a prolonged period of time. And that product should always be taken with food, and preferably anywhere from 1 up to 6 months. And it works perfectly fine at any stage of the Candida crusher protocol. It'll work quite well. The second product I created is called Canxida Restore. Now, Canxida Restore is a probiotic enzyme combination. It contains 7 different enzymes and 6 probiotics in it. Now, I didn't put any fructooligosaccharides or inulin in this product, so there are no prebiotics in there. And I did that for a very specific reason. I've used too many products in the past with prebiotics and had aggravations from patients. Spaced out people, sick people that develop bloating, gas, headaches, all kinds of things. And I can tell you, I've used every darn product out there for Candida that I could find. All the professional products, all the retail products. I know all the brands. I've used them all. And after using so many different products, I started to discover that most of them, in these combinations with enzymes and probiotics, contain prebiotics. And I thought, well, what the hell is that all about? Why don't I just get people to eat foods that contain prebiotics, and then they can eat more or less as they see fit, but keep that separate from the supplement. So the Canxida Restore was very carefully made to use the best possible enzymes for people going into the Mevy diet. So if you're in a paleo kind of approach or a high protein diet, this is a perfect supplement for you to eat. If you suffer from food intolerances or food allergies, this is a perfect supplement to take along with that. I created the Restore to be used as a standalone probiotic or a standalone digestive enzyme for any kind of gut-related product. Constipation, diarrhea, irritable bowel, inflammatory bowel, food allergy, food intolerance, any of those kind of conditions, you're going to get benefit from the Restore. Now, the Restore also contains a systemic enzyme in it called serrapeptidase. And this enzyme is very expensive. So people look at my supplement and say, whoa, you put a bit of a premium on that product. Well, I can tell you now, I've used the best possible enzymes from the top manufacturer in the world in that product in a very special capsule, a time-release capsule that only opens up in the small intestine. The probiotics are in a spore form, so they take time to, really get warm, open up, and activate. And also, there's about 15 to 20% more probiotics in that product than is stated on the bottle. So you're going to definitely get these beneficial bugs into the system. The Canxida Restore is best taken 1 in the morning with breakfast and 1 before bed at night. 2 per day is usually good. So that's going to give you a whole month on 1 bottle. The Canxida Remove, you take 1 of those with breakfast, 1 with lunch, 1 with dinner, or you can take 1 twice per day, 2 or 3 times per day, that's up to you. So take the Remove with food and take the Restore 1 with food in the morning and 1 before bed at night. And that protocol is an amazing protocol, and I guarantee that you're going to get outstanding effect on that. So those products are available through Canxida.com. Don't forget to please do my online quiz at yeastinfection.org. Important for you to do that, to get a feel on where you are right now. And then once you've treated yourself with these products, again, within a month or 2, you can do the quiz again to see, where you are, what the ballpark is. Good thing for you to do. Please subscribe to my channel, my Candida Crusher channel. I've got many subscribers now, and I intend to make many more high-quality videos for you to enjoy. And please keep emailing your questions through so I can respond to those questions as well. Thank you so much for the comments I've been receiving. It's been fantastic. So I hope this has been an informative video today, and I've covered most of the points. Thank you very much.